Why you, yes you, can be like Malcolm X. TikTok done started shadow banning the nigga, yeah? TikTok done started shadow banning a nigga, eh? I must be doing something right. Only thing I'm doing though, for real though, is just giving y'all books. I just literally, all I do is read, write down what I've read, record what I wrote down, and then put it up. But apparently TikTok is like, this nigga is talking about books, we can't have this. So, you know what I'm about to talk about today? What was crazy was that I wanted to do a W analysis on the transformations of Malcolm X. And I had that script already written a couple weeks ago, but Miss Ilyasha Sabaz dropped Malcolm in the Desert, and you know I got that joint on pre-order. So yeah, I got this past Tuesday. You see it. But you came here to realize how you could be like Malcolm X. So if you can, turn into your Malcolm X Bibles to page 267. Let's have some story time. It had really begun back in the Charlestown prison when Bimby first made me feel envy of his stock of knowledge. Bimby had always taken charge of any conversations he was in, and I had tried to emulate him. But every book I picked up had few sentences which didn't contain anywhere from one to nearly all of the words that might as well have been in Chinese. When I just skipped those words, of course, I really ended up with little idea of what the book had said. So I had come to Norfolk Prison Colony still going through only book reading motions. Pretty soon, I would have quit even the motions unless I had received the motivation that I did. I saw that the best thing that I could do was get a hold of a dictionary, to study, to learn words. I was lucky enough to reason also that I should try to improve my penmanship. It was sad, I couldn't even write in a straight line. It was both ideas together that moved me to request a dictionary along with some tablets and pencils from Norfolk Prison Colony School. He goes on to say, I spent 2 days just rifling uncertainty through the dictionary pages. I never realized so many words existed. I didn't know which words I needed to learn. Finally, just to start some kind of action, I began copying. In my slow, painstaking, ragged handwriting, I copied into my tablet everything printed on the first page down to the punctuation marks. I believe it took me a day. Then, aloud, I read back to myself everything I had written on the tablet. Over and over again, aloud to myself, I read my own handwriting. I woke up the next morning thinking about those words, immensely proud to realize that not only had I written so much at one time, but I had written words that I had never knew were in the world. Moreover, with little effort, I also could remember what many of those words meant. I was so fascinated that I copied the dictionary's next page, and the same experience came when I studied that. With every succeeding page, I also learned of people and places and events from history. Actually, the dictionary is like a miniature encyclopedia. Finally, the dictionary's A section had filled a whole tablet, and I went on into the B's. That was the way I started copying what eventually became the entire dictionary. This man sat down with a pad and pen and literally went through the entire dictionary, word for word, punctuation mark for punctuation mark, while in prison. The appetite to want to learn. You too can be Malcolm X, you just eat that appetite. Let me keep reading. It went a lot faster after so much practice helped me to pick up handwriting speed. Between what I wrote on my tablet and writing letters during the rest of my time in prison, I would guess I wrote 1 million words. I suppose it was inevitable that as my word base broadened, I could for the first time pick up a book and read and now begin to understand what the book was saying. Anyone who has read a great deal can imagine the new world that opened. Let me tell you something. From then until I left that prison, in every free moment I had, if I was not reading in the library, I was reading on my bunk. You couldn't have gotten me out of books with a wedge. Between Mr. Muhammad's teachings, my correspondence, my visitors, usually Ella and Reginald, and my reading of books, months passed without my even thinking about me being in prison. In fact, up to then, I had never been so truly free in my life. Hold on. Did you? Buddy said, from then until I left that prison, in every free moment I had, if I was not reading in the library, I was reading on my bunk. You couldn't have gotten me out of books with a wedge. Between Mr. Muhammad's teachings, my correspondence, my visitors, usually Ella and Reginald, and my reading of books, months passed without my even thinking about being imprisoned. In fact, up to then, I had never been so truly free in my life. My man said when he was in prison, he had never been as truly free because of books. And y'all niggas is like, where the answers at? The answers are in the books. The answers are in the books. You want freedom? The answers are in the books. Let me keep going. As you can imagine, especially in a prison where there was heavy emphasis on rehabilitation, an inmate was smiled upon if he demonstrated an unusual intense interest in books. There was a sizable number of well-read inmates, especially the popular debaters. Some were said by many to be practically walking encyclopedias. They were almost celebrities. No university would ask any student to devour literature as I did when this new world opened up to me, of being able to read and understand. To be able to read and understand. I read more in my room than in the library itself. An inmate who is known to read a lot could check out more than the permitted maximum number of books. I prefer reading in total isolation of my own room. When I had progressed to really serious reading, every night at about 10 p.m., I would be outraged with the lights out. It always seemed to catch me right in the middle of something engrossing. Fortunately, right outside my door was a corridor light that cast a glow into my room. That glow was enough to be read by once my eyes adjusted to it. So when lights out came, I would sit on the floor where I could continue reading in that glow. At 1 hour intervals, the night guards paced past every room. Each time I heard the approaching footsteps, I jumped into the bed and feigned sleep. As soon as the guards passed, I got back out of my bed onto the floor area where the light glowed, where I could read for another 58 minutes until the guards approached again. That went on until 3 or 4 in the morning. 3 or 4 hours of sleep a night was enough for me. Often in the years in the streets, I had slept less than that. I got said, what do I need sleep for, bro? All this knowledge around me. Parents be hitting me up like, dog, why you talking about books? What the fuck, nigga? Why am I talking about books? Why am I talking about books? Books? Why am I talking about books, nigga? Because there's answers in these mofos, bro. It's lessons in these joints. It's courage in it. It's hope in here. Niggas, why am I talking about books? Malcolm, keep telling these people why I keep talking about books, Malcolm. I have often reflected upon the new vistas that reading opened up to me. I knew right there in prison that reading had changed forever the course of my life. As I see it today, the ability to read awoke inside of me something long dormant craving to be mentally alive. My homemade education gave me, with every additional book that I read, a little bit more sensitivity to the deafness, dumbness, and blindness that was affecting the black race in America. Not long ago, an English writer telephoned me from London asking questions. One was, what's your alma mater? I told him books. You'll never catch me with a free 15 minutes in which I'm not studying something I feel might be able to help the black man. TikTok shadow banning the nigga, it don't matter. It does not matter. I don't do this for the performative shit. I'm not trying to like rack up and do all that shit. I'm just trying to let cats know. I'm like, dog, if you sit down and spend time with yourself and slow your days down and pick up one of these, some of these right here, you start picking these up and you just sit down and you just be with it. They can literally change your life. Let me say this, and I'm gonna look directly at the camera when I say this, hat off, hand in hand. Here we go. If you have over an 8th grade education, you are technically more educated than Malcolm X. Literally, one of the most, I do not want to sound sacrilegious, but when you read this book and you see the transformation, again, Malcolm X had 2 different transformations. Malcolm X used to run the streets. He was a hustler. He used to run the streets. His first transformation was when he converted to Islam while in prison. That took him up a notch. He was spiritually clean. He was not eating pork. He was not cursing. He wasn't drinking. He wasn't doing none of that. Completely pure. Then his second transformation was after he came from Mecca. You too can be like Malcolm. You have to kill your ego. You have to stop thinking that everything around you is the problem, and you have to look inward. Malcolm X said that he was in prison and he was still free. A lot of you niggas have been walking around free from no type of physical confinement, no bondage whatsoever, and still are mentally captivated. Again, this is what's funny is this, what is absolutely hilarious is that this man is sitting back saying, I was in prison and I was reading all of these books and it just made me so much more aware. The Autobiography of Malcolm X is a banned book. This book is not in prisons at all. So a man who got his education essentially from prison, his own works are banned from that. And if you see why that they're banned, they sit back and say, yeah, we don't need niggas reading this. If books aren't important, why are they banning them? So, in general, I'm gonna make this a little last point before I really go. But in general, black people are always like, well, what can we do? What can we do? If you remember, in March of this past year, when the United Nations sat back and said, and within the United Nations, 123 countries sat back and said that the black race in America deserves reparations. The United Nations said that. Why do I bring that up? All right, talk to him, Malcolm. How is the black man going to get civil rights before he first wins his human rights? If the American black man will start thinking about his human rights and then start thinking of himself as part of the world's great peoples, he will see that he has a case for the United Nations. Malcolm is sitting back saying, when the black man, essentially black people in America, really solidify their human rights, they can take their cause to the United Nations. The same United Nations that was like, you guys deserve reparations. So I know it's going to be some white people out there, maybe some self-hating niggas out there that's going to hate everything that I'm saying in this. But I'm like, it just came from the book, bro. It just came from the book, dog. It just came from a man who killed his own ego. While the majority of you niggas go your entire lives being the exact same person, Malcolm X elevated twice in his life. But, like I said at the very beginning, you too can be like Malcolm X. Just make a change, bro. It's not hard. You most certainly may lose some friends. And you most certainly may have some stumbling blocks. You study any civil rights activists. When they were in the throes of their activism, oh, they were losing jobs, they were getting threatened, but it just is what it is. It just is what it is. You can't be passive and then try to have rights at the same time. Y'all see what they're doing. Y'all see what they're doing. Quit trying to negotiate with them. They already sat back and said, yeah, we like Martin Luther King, but we didn't like the 1965 Voting Rights Act, so we're just gonna slash that. So y'all can sit back and like wait till the pendulum swings back into the Democrats Party's hands and then sit back and think that you still have freedom. But again, it's just a pendulum swing. It's gonna swing right on back. Dog, in the absolute spirit of Malcolm X, I'm gonna keep holding this book up, man. I've read this book 4 times. In the past 10 years, I have read this book 4 times. And each time I was like, I can be a better man. Listen, man. I just want the person who's listening to understand this. You have everything you need. You have everything you need. Stop thinking that somebody else has it for you. If you have a sound body and you have sound mind, start making sound decisions. And one of those decisions, honestly, is just reading Malcolm X's autobiography. Oh! Like if you enjoyed this segment, share if it can benefit others, subscribe for more book-related content. Until then, you already know what you need to do. Stay blessed.